Hi guys, welcome to my channel. And for those that are here for the first time, welcome. And those that have come back, welcome back. Today's topic is on postpartum depression. It's another mom topic. I In a previous video I had mentioned that I will do a video on postpartum depression, and so this is it. This is the video I was talking about. Okay, so I'll get into the symptoms. So some of the symptoms include restlessness or being moody, feeling sad, hopeless, overwhelmed, crying a lot, having thoughts of hurting the baby, having thoughts of hurting yourself, um, baby feeling like a stranger, memory problems, feeling worthless, guilty, feeling like a bad mom, withdrawing from friends, having headaches, aches. Yeah. Okay, these are some of the symptoms of postpartum depression. Yeah. And backstory. I had my firstborn son in 2019. My pregnancy was an easy one. I did not have a lot of complications that people face. It was no high blood pressure. Okay, did spike a little, I think, somewhere. Yeah, but nothing serious. Just like uh just working out helped sort of stabilize it, and it kind of just stabilized along the way. Yeah, so I didn't have a complicated pregnancy. I didn't have issues in my pregnancy. I had a pretty easy pregnancy. I My energy was up the whole time. I didn't have nausea. I had a pretty decent pregnancy. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of drama when I was pregnant. And I worked out the entire pregnancy because I had really wanted a virginal birth. That was the main goal, have a virginal birth. Yeah, so I worked out the whole pregnancy, and you know how people, they advise you, they're like, be active, and I did all that. I'd work out every morning. Even when I went to my mom's place, I would go for walks every morning. And yeah, so I worked out through my entire pregnancy. And then finally the time came for a baby to be born. um we went to the hospital. They told me that I was effaced. I think doctors know what that means. I don't know what that means. Anyway, they said I was effaced, so they admitted me, and then they did a membrane sweep, and then so the labor progressed from there, and then it stalled. And when it stalled, they broke my water for me and then gave me a dose of pitocin. Now, all of us that know pitocin know that it is the pain is unreal. Yes, I was given pitocin and hoping that things would progress. So by midnight, nothing had changed. But I was having all these unbearable contractions. Nothing changed. And so the nurse that was with me in the room, and I'm busy telling her, and I'm telling her when they decided to call the doctor to come and see me and that nothing had changed, I'm telling her I don't want to have a C-section. At that point, she just looked at me and she was like, you know what? It's better to have a healthy baby, an alive baby, than for you to keep pushing for this vaginal birth and lose the baby along the way. So the doctor comes to check on me, and then they noticed there was meconium in the fluid, the amniotic fluid. And so now he's like, why didn't you guys notice there's meconium in the fluid? And all over the sudden people are panicking. Next thing, I'm being rushed to the theater, and it feels like I'm watching a movie. I'm like, no, this is not how it's supposed to go. But anyway, so they rushed me to the theater, and that's how my baby boy was born. Yeah. So when my baby was born, given that backstory, well, I think some of that contributed to what happened after the baby was born. I just I could not connect with him. I didn't have that overwhelming feeling of love that you expect, that you see people in the movies have. I'm looking at this baby, carried him for 9 months in my womb, and he's like a complete stranger. I remember my husband had come. Yeah, he was in Eastern Province, and then he drove through the night. Then by the time he came in like around 5. The baby was already in. Yeah, he came. He was so excited to see the baby, but I felt like I had failed. And I don't know if any moms out there can relate to that, but I felt like I had failed because what I really wanted was a vaginal birth, and then I ended up with a C-section, and I felt like as a woman I had failed, and I felt like everybody was looking at me that way. But my husband, he was just as happy to see the baby and happy that I was okay, and my family was just happy that we were all fine. Yeah, but so after the baby, I I'd cry a lot. If the baby cries, I'd feel like he hates me. um, I I couldn't connect with him. I couldn't connect with him. He felt like a stranger. Yeah, and I didn't feel like myself. I felt very lost after having my son. Um, yeah. So and then yeah. So after that happened, now for me to finally get back to feeling normal, what I did was after I'd gone back to my own home was put baby, my son, on a schedule. He needed to eat at a particular time. He needed to sleep at a particular time because that would allow me to rest and just to function. Yeah, and then um, I I started working out. Also, I started working out. I think when he was like 6 months old. Yeah, I started working out when he was 6 months old, just to clear my head. I started working out, and um, finally started to feel like myself. And then I involved myself in like church activities. Yeah, I would get out of the house, but obviously he would come with me. At the time, I didn't have anybody to help me, so he would go everywhere together. Yeah. So yeah, so eventually we bonded with the baby. And one of the things that helped was just spending time with him. You might not feel that maternal thing you're supposed to feel at the beginning, but just that time you're spending together, getting to know each other, building this relationship. I finally started falling in love with this guy. And I'll tell him that I love him. I needed him to hear it, and I needed to hear myself say it. Tell the baby that I love him, tell the baby that I love him. I'll say it all the time. And I feel like that helped also for us to bond. I've already talked about working out just to clear your head, and then having a support system. When my son was born, my mom was there. Obviously, I'd gone to her home, so she was there, and she was very hands-on, very helpful. It helped with the recovery process and helped just with bonding. Also allowed me to bond with the baby because I had help. And when I finally went home, my husband was very hands-on, also very helpful with the baby. So it gave me time to like rest. But what's very memorable about the whole experience for me is my older sister. She's a mom of three. So when I had my baby, and after that whole experience, she came, talked to me on the side, and then she told me how that it's important for moms to feel loved. She came, she gave me a hug, and just told me I'd done a great job, and just made me feel like I didn't fail. Yeah, she was like, people forget when you go through something like this that the mom also needs support, and she needs to feel like she's okay. And one thing that my sister's done with my first son, and even when I had my second baby, she would check on you and she'd be like, you're doing a great job, you're doing good, don't worry, you're doing awesome. And I don't know if she knows, but I really needed to hear those words. Like, dude, you're doing good, you're doing enough, you're doing your best, and that's good enough. Yeah. Um, Also praying and talking to God, depending on how your relationship is. I'm a believer, so praying and talking to God about how you're feeling, exactly how you're feeling, what you're dealing with, helps you just to offload and just to be vulnerable and to tell him, God, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm dealing with. Yeah. And then journaling. I talked about it in the previous video about self-care as a mom, but journaling how you're feeling also helps you express those words you can't form into words, those words you can't um, vocalize the right way, you can't express the right way. It helps you to find the words and to just deal. Yeah. And so this topic is very close to my heart, just because people, I feel like on this side of the world, in Zambia in particular, I feel like we don't talk enough about mental health, and there's some sort of stigma attached to it. Mm, I think it's important for people to talk, for us women to talk to each other about how we're feeling and what we're dealing with, and also to be kind to each other and not to judge each other. Speaking of judging each other, I just want to bring this out. I think it's unkind when somebody is like, oh, so you didn't want to push, so that's why you got the C-section. Oh, you picked the easy way out. I think it's very insensitive. Like, sometimes you really don't have much of a choice. It is either your baby dies or you prove a point trying to push that. No. Like, even just the whole experience of almost losing your baby and then having to go to surgery, it's a very huge ordeal for a mom to deal with. And so I think we need to be kind to each other and to be sensitive to our friends and what they're dealing with, and not say things that will break somebody down that's already dealing with a lot. I feel like if you have a vaginal birth, it's also difficult, it's painful, um but also having a C-section is difficult, it's painful, you could die. mm. So there's no trophy for anybody, nobody's winning anything. If you've had like a vaginal birth, good on you. If you've had a C-section also, good on you. If it's planned, good on you. If it's an emergency, we thank God that you and baby are fine. So let's be kind to each other, ladies. Let's not say things that break our friends' spirits, that break each other down, but let's build each other. So if you're a C-section mom and you're a good mom, you're woman enough, and you're doing the best that you can, and that's okay. Yeah. And okay, so if you guys have any other topics that you're interested in, that you would like to that you'd like us to address, please comment below, and see you on the next one.